Uh, Abstract brainwaves, game genie in the beanie. We ain't on the same stage, leveled up. The epitome of technique, can't survive in my current thought.
Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video. And it's been a while since we made one of these, and that's a good thing, because what that says is, hey, not a lot of newsworthy stuff to have sympathy for. So, let's jump into it. We've had Joe Rogan, who podcast by day, podcast by night. At least I think it goes something like that with this intro, right? You may know him from Fear Factor. You might have known him from Newsweek. You might know him from these UFC fights. You might know him from his stand-up. I've actually seen him in person in stand-up. I'm not going to lie. I listen to Joe Rogan. I don't listen to him anymore. Not primarily for what you think. See, I've got Apple. I like Apple Podcasts. I like seeing podcasts on YouTube, the video version. But when the Spotify deal happened, for those of you who don't know, Rogan got this $100 million Spotify deal that his podcast was exclusive to that. People will say, oh, they removed his podcast off YouTube, censorship, da-da-da, so Spotify's... No. Part of that deal was you could only see him on Spotify. So, let's just be clear here. Folks aren't going to Spotify for Joe Rogan only. It's the music, and we happen to have Joe Rogan, not the other way around. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to go out of my way to go on Spotify when everything else I listen to is on platforms I was already using. Spotify is just not that interesting to me. There's nothing about it that's like different to where I was like, this is better than the other apps. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't care enough to know. Comment, let me know what's great about Spotify, feature-wise, and then not you know, this isn't Paramount Plus versus Apple TV, where they're like, hey, we've got this content and you've got this content. There's nobody else other than Joe Rogan that you can tell me is on Spotify that also isn't on other platforms, and I'm like, I've got to be there. That out of the way, lucrative deal allowed him to move California to go to Texas, where, hey, a majority of this money he doesn't have to pay, you know, like income tax on. I'm not sure if it's the sales or state or whatever, but some kind of tax he's exempt from by being in Texas. Florida being another one of these states that we have here in the United States where, you know, certain taxes you can, you know, avoid paying. So, all great news for Rogan. Where it goes south is this. See, right here, right now, I'm a fledgling YouTuber. I could say lots of things and nobody cares because nobody's listening. But what happens when I become a YouTuber that has millions of subscribers and viewers? And you might get people who, when you get these new eyes and ears listening to you, they might get envious or salty about things for some reason because, you know, jealous ones envy. And suddenly they're like, we got to take down this yellow hat douchebag. We got to go after him. Let's put up a compilation video of the times he said this, and this. Suddenly I've got a problem on my hand. But it shouldn't be a $100 million one, and it, you know, probably won't be for Rogan. Here's what I'm getting at. Rogan is known for having guests that are polarizing on his show. And that's why people actually like him, believe it or not. He's laid back. He doesn't pretend to know everything, at least when I listen to him. He just lets his audience talk. He is the ultimate interviewer because he's not coming in trying to grill you. He actually researches the people that he's talking to. And sometimes you might have a guy like Neil deGrasse Tyson on there who's talking science. And you might get him talking about love and romance and movies and things outside of his realm, where it just feels like you're also a fly in the room and you're talking with these celebrities too. That's what's so awesome about Joe Rogan, okay? But he'll have these guys who you don't have... Like, I won't go out of my way to listen to Alex Jones. Not my cup of tea. But on the Joe Rogan podcast, where I can just hear him, you know, in doses, hey, let's see why people don't like this guy. Let me see if he's a different person when he's not on his platform where he can control the narrative. So Alternatively, he'll have people who maybe I do agree with, but you should not be in an echo chamber. That's my opinion. So listening to somebody like a Joe Rogan made it a lot easier to get different POVs, okay, different point of views. So Rogan is known for saying, hey, I don't feel comfortable with the vaccine. He's known for that. So he went on tour with Dave Chappelle, and Chappelle got COVID, right? This was back when people were still having these lockdowns and we were just coming off of comedy clubs and things like that being open. A lot of people lost a lot of money, especially in the entertainment industry. So Chappelle got COVID, and then later on, I don't know how long of a gap it was in between, but eventually Joe Rogan himself got COVID, and instead of getting the vaccine or anything like that, he chose to take the horse dewormer known as ivermectin. Now, this isn't a video telling you should or should not get the vaccine. That's not what it's about. But the controversy that he's in right now is that this video stems from that. You had the legendary Neil Young, singer-songwriter, musician, say, hey, I don't want to have my platform on the same platform as a guy that you allow to have this, misinformation, as they call it, out there, right? Can't blame Neil Young. Neil Young has always been outspoken towards things he doesn't agree with, and he puts his money where his mouth is. Love him or hate him for that, it is what it is. He doesn't need the money, so at this point, at least I don't think he does, it's like, maybe you could say it's principle for him. But you've got other artists who are kind of bandwagoning that, and I understand, I have sympathy for them because they're like, we get 0.00, and I don't know the actual number, but they don't make that much, 0.003, we'll say, of a penny off of every spin. Kind of like how I might make that per video, right? Per view. So y'all need to watch these videos some more, right? Go back and watch all my other ones too. I'm always going to tell y'all to go back and watch other stuff because you may not like this. You may like this, and there may be other stuff you don't know that you like. You just got to look past the thumbnails, people. Don't judge a book by its cover. Anyway, tangent aside, they were like, hey, look, we make this little. We get the crumbs. Spotify gets the big cookie, and you're using the crumbs that we made, more of them, to fund this guy? You're using our money to fund this, and we don't stand or represent any of that? Come on, Spotify. So Spotify tried to give them the Facebook treatment, which was, hey, we'll have a little disclaimer here like Facebook does whenever they want to fact check people who post things that they don't necessarily co-sign. That's what Spotify was like. We'll start doing that for the Joe Rogan podcast. No harm, no foul. Spotify is in a tough place because they've already given so much to Joe Rogan, and I don't know the details of this contract, but it sounds very Joe Rogan friendly. Him and his crew, they made out very well where they don't really have to do anything else. Everything is just for fun for him at this point. It's like, hey, just smoke some marijuana or whatever and sit back and tell jokes, and there it is. Here's where it gets dicey. You can say, hey, he's entitled to his opinion on, COVID-19, and it's what it is. But then it's come to light that he said the N-word multiple times. I'm not going to link any of those videos here, but he said it, and he said it in a way where he's quoting other people who happen to be black or telling their stories and reciting them, and it's got him in hot water. You had artists like India Ari, who was like, this is why I want my music off of Spotify. Forget the COVID stuff. It's this right here. And I listened to it, and they were like flaming arrows because, it's always uncomfortable hearing people who sound uncomfortable saying the N-word say it. The people that sound comfortable saying it, rappers, more than likely rappers or black people who say it with the G-A and not the hard E-R, or even when they say the G-A, they sound like their first day saying it wasn't today. Don't look at me like that. It's some of you that I'm talking about watching the video. What you got to understand is this. Regardless of your crew, you might have these guys that have the Eminem swag and they carry themselves in a hip-hop manner, and they're white or, not black. they might get a pass from the people that they know to say that word because those people know them, know their character, know their heart, and know up and down that, hey, so-and-so is not racist. It doesn't mean that the next guy is going to be okay with that. See, I grew up in a time where you say that word and you don't have to actually be saying it about somebody specifically. You just say it and a black person sees you say it. The other black people surround you and, give you those hands, give you that work for saying that. And if you were black and didn't do that and word got around that you didn't help out, it was almost as if you said it because then you got that work. You feel me? So, yeah. White people, you guys gain nothing by saying that word. You don't lose out. So I understand there are people who are like, why can't I say it? Why can't I say it? I really want to say it. All the rappers say it. This guy says that guy. You got to remember there are blood on the hands of that word, right? Hundreds of years of that. So, we're progressive now that I think that there are children who say that word with no malice, no understanding. They just say it to be edgy or to be cool or because their friends greet each other with that term. But you can't leave it on black people to say so-and-so's not racist based off of them saying the word. That's not our responsibility. It's just, hey, you're racist and that's what it is. You should know better. If you have to explain yourself, then you have no business saying it. I don't make the rules, I just report them. Okay? And it seems like Joe Rogan in his apology, if you haven't seen it, sounded sincere. I don't think Joe Rogan is racist. I don't know the guy, but after listening to hours upon hours, hundreds of hours of his podcast, I don't think he is. That doesn't mean he's not. I just don't think he is. But to somebody else who doesn't listen to him, they might say, yeah, dude's racist. Here's what I mean. You've got a friend who might have said a racial slur or something in the privacy of y'all's company. You might not think they're racist because you actually know their character. They might be saying jokes that are strongly distasteful, but are they racist? I overhear this friend of yours, and I'm like, bro, he's racist. That's racist. I don't know this guy from Adam, so what he's saying is racist. Does that mean they're racist? That's for you to decide. So that's why I'm like, hey, you're just better off not using it. So it seemed like Joe understands this and is apologetic for it, but it's funny how this stuff came out in light of the COVID stuff. These videos have been there for a minute, and shame on Spotify for not doing their due diligence and saying, hey, if these views don't represent us, we need to flag all these videos that don't represent us. Which is it? Which is it? He has the freedom to say what he wants to say, and you don't care, or you do care about some views that don't reflect your own. Ultimately, they care about the dollar. And as long as those dollars are there, they're going to stand by their guy because, they might have given him guaranteed half of that money or more. Who knows? That out of the way, do I feel sorry for Rogan? No. Don't feel sorry for you, Joe. You should know. You should have known better. You should have known when you moved your content here that if you said all this stuff, even if it was 10 years ago, that it was, how is that an oversight? You've got a team of people. So I say something I might have forgotten and I'm not that person anymore, just like Joe Rogan's not that person anymore. But you've got millions of listeners. I would think that would be like one of the first things you get rid of. So you didn't have Dave Chappelle 10 years ago on your show, I don't think. But he's on there now. You would think that Chappelle would check you and say, hey, I understood you stood up for me on the transgender jokes that I made. But these N-word jokes, those are about me now. Maybe Chappelle's like, I can't speak for him, but maybe he's like, hey, dude, I don't care. It's not that serious. I forgive you or whatever. But then it's like, what do you quantify as a joke? See, that's the thing here. If you saw the video and you saw what he was saying, some of the stuff he was mostly quoting people. But there are remarks he made comparing being in a movie theater with black people as Planet of the Apes. Yeah, Rogan said this. There are comments where a guy was like describing his ethnicity, saying he has a black father and a white mother. And Joe is like, hey, so you got the best of both worlds, the body of a black man and the mind of a white man. He's on record saying this stuff. And while he might have tried to delete those podcasts, a preemptive apology would have been great. Like, hey, y'all, this is me now. Please forgive me. I'm not that person anymore. Don't wait till you get in trouble to say these kind of things. That really resonates more. So that's the lesson here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you feel sorry for Joe Rogan? Are you a Rogan fan? That's why you watch this, or you hate Joe Rogan, so you're needing a reason to look at this. I mean, it could go either way. You've got comedians like D.L. Hughley who are like, hey, I called this guy out. He's racist. And then you've got other people who are like, hey, he ain't racist. He said some racist things, though. I feel like in our society, we're quick to just cast people out of the Garden of Eden, which is our society, I guess. Maybe don't say anything, but they're excommunicated, and do they not get forgiveness? Do they not get a chance to grow? It's one thing to say, hey, I'm racist, I don't like this group, and I don't plan on changing. It's another to make a mistake and not real, just be kidding around with your buddies, locker room talk, whatever, and not learn from that. I think a lot of people need to be around more of the people that they say these things about in privacy to understand how those things can be hurtful. Maybe Joe Rogan really didn't grow up around that many black people. Can't speak for him, but clearly he wasn't around the right ones, because that mess would have never came out of his mouth. Somebody would check them like, bro, you're not cool enough to say the N-word. You better be from 8 Mile and rap. And even then, somebody somewhere is like, nah, that's still not cool. Love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Hope to see you in the next video.
Captain Sensation.
That guy is